Hi, welcome back to the channel in the series where I'm restoring my MGA, and this is the second part in that series where I'm painting the car in my garage at home. In the first part I'd I'd finished off the primer work or the filler work, and I'd started to prime, and I'd applied first a two-part epoxy primer and then a high build primer to the main body. I left it and I said I'd come back when I'd fitted the wings and the doors back on, and then continue with the process. So what I didn't realise is that it would take me 2 days to try and get the doors and the wings realigned again. In the series you've seen, I've had two episodes separately on panel alignment, and after I'd done all that bodywork I thought they'd simply go back, but that's MGAs, that's the way it is. So I'm still there, I'm just going to crack on, but I thought I'd just put a little entry in on something that I found on hinges, because often when you put the hinges back on they can be tight and not aligned. So what I've done, and I found that works for me, is I just put one bolt in, or one screw in either side of the hinges, top and bottom. Get those into the general position, and then if I close and tighten them up, and if I close and open the doors a few times, they naturally find the right angle they're supposed to be on, and then you get a nice closure. So there's just a little bit of learning that I've had. So I'm going to crack on now, get the rest of the panels on, get them aligned, and then I'll carry on with the work. Okay, so wings are on, doors are on, all the way around. Looks okay. I hesitate because I think, well, I know when I put it together the last time before I took it apart for the last time, I think if they fitted, I think the door jambs and all my gaps were a little bit better. So I think I got a little bit more from, it might just me being had my Be Perfect driver, but I'm going to go around just a little bit longer. And I know this is like a rabbit hole where you can just do this for weeks, but I'm very close. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, today I've got about 4 jobs I think I need to start to think about working on. First is I need to finish off flatting out some of the wings. I've done this door, for instance, is already done. So that's all that's in good shape, ready for the high build prime. But the wings, you can see they're a bit shiny, so they've not been flatted out with the 240 grit. So that'll be a job that needs to be addressed. That's the first thing. Second thing is I've got this thing to attend to. So that's the front valance, which I've not done any work on. I beat out a dent in that, probably about 2 or 3 years ago now, I think. But that needs to be cleaned up. I'm not going to do it in here because the dust is going to be incredible. So we'll have a look at that, and then I have to work out whether I need to sandblast it or whatever. So that needs to be done. Third thing is I need to get the other one of these, which is for the light cluster on the rear wings, off of the old fiberglass wing which it came on, which is up in my shed. So I'm going to get that off, and then both of these need to be cleaned up, whether that is just a paint strip or a sandblast or whatever, I'm not quite sure, but that's the job to do. And then finally I've got the door shuts, which are here. There we go, which are looking pretty great after, in a previous episode you would have seen that I've completely repaired those. They were in a shocking state, but that's all done now. So they need to be prepped up and ready to paint in the high build prime, together with the light clusters, together with the rest of the wings, etc., when I do that full body high build prime. So they're jobs to do. Let's get to it. Right, I've moved up to the shed now because I'm going to strip the remainder of the paint off of the valance, and it can be a really messy job, and I just want to, from now on, keep the big bulk of dust away from the car if I can. Anyway, I'm using a kind of, I think it's a poly resin disc on the angle grinder. I've used it before. It's really good for taking paint off. It doesn't touch rust, so this will just give me an indication of what we've got in or around the paint on this thing. So just let's get to it. Well, that's been nearly an hour's worth of work, and I've cleared all the paint off. So the majority of it isn't bad. I've got some isolated spots with quite deep pitting around here, and I've still got the back to do, so it's going to be another hour. But okay. I've got, I mean, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it's quite wobbly. The one point I was going to make earlier, that with the abrasive disc, it does create quite a lot of heat into the panel, and I wouldn't generally use that on a flat panel, something like a door or a bonnet or something like that, because you have got quite a good chance that you're going to warp the panel unless you're really careful and you do it in very slow stages. But for this it's fine. There's plenty of contours, and you know, that's a really strong piece of steel, so I'm not that hasn't caused any issues. However, there are quite a few ripples in here. Now this bit sits right behind the bumper, so that's not too much of a concern, but I'm going to get the hammer and dolly out and just do a little bit of work there. This isn't actually, this bit it's got more of a curve on it, and it's not as bad actually, but I'll go over it anyway. And then I'll consider, I think, what rust treatment I'm going to do here before I start prepping this for painting. More new car parts, this time from Brown and Gammon. See what we got. Yes, so it occurred to me that I put the wings on, I've got them all lined up, but once you finish the car you put piping between the wings and the body, and that's this stuff, nice silver colour. You don't know if you know, but I'm going to paint this dove grey, so hopefully that will work. But obviously this has got some width to it, so I was just concerned that that might actually add a little bit more to the depth of the wing and put it out of line with the body. So I thought I'd just try a little, tuck this in and just see if it makes a lot of difference. Also got some screws to finish off putting the hinges on the door, and I noticed when I was cleaning these up and getting these apart that I've got two lenses that are, both lenses in fact, were cracked, so I can't think I can open this one up. Oh, yes I can, there we go. So I've got two new lenses. Obviously I won't need those for a while, so we'll just pack those away. So that's all good. I'm getting on now with the valance. I chose to acid strip that in the end, just try and keep it local and take as much of the rust out as I could, because it was quite pitted. It's hard to get in there, so I've done loads of videos on rust removal in all different sorts, but that's what I chose to do. And now I've given it a coat of the Hydrate 80, which is a rust converter, and I like that product. So we'll do that. I'll do a couple of coats of that, probably knock that back, and then that'll be ready for a 2-part epoxy prime. And there we go. So I thought I'd quickly strip these before I paint the valance, so I can do them both at the same time. And that one's gone well. This one, loads of filler in it. So this is at some stage taking a bit of a beating, and I'm quite surprised because it's a kind of a casting or something, I think. So anyway, more work to do. Got to straighten this out before we get painting. Okay, I'm all ready to spray on the valance and the light cluster thingies. So they're knocked back and panel wiped. I'm going to two-part epoxy prime those as I've done on every other panel, and to get a chemical bond on the back of the valance, I'll wrap to paint after that's tacked off. So I'll just fast forward through that process on the video in a short while. But before I do that, I just wanted to thank everybody for liking and subscribing, and particularly for the comments in the last video. It was really great. I do read them all and taking all that on board to an extent where one chap very kindly pointed out that the mask I'm using, which is it's a really good 3M FFP3 mask. It cuts out all odours and really well. You could go into a chip shop and wearing the mask and you just wouldn't know you were there. I find it's been excellent. However, there are particulates in 2K paints that get through that type of mask, and he recommended that I get this Garson mask, which claims to cut those out. Now obviously in any sort of professional setup you'd probably have a clean air system, which I haven't got. But I thought I went straight out and I bought one of these. It wasn't too expensive. It was about, I don't know, 35 quid, I guess. But it protects you against, it claims to protect you against those other particulates that can be particularly harmful to you. So thanks again to the person that made those comments. I really appreciate it. Now let's get spraying. Well, as always, the wrap to finish is very good. Very pleased with that on the inside of that valance. I'm going to leave this now for a couple of days before I start to prep up the outside. Not sure if I'll need to put any filler on there or not yet, but we'll see. So they're going to go to one side for a little bit, and then it's back onto the bodywork to finish off the prep on the wings and the doors, ready for the high build prime. Okay, a few days have passed. I've flatted down all the panels now. I filled any pinholes in with a stopper, and I fitted the valance. So I'm pretty much ready to paint. Biggest issue is the weather. So it's been humid and rainy over the last couple of days. Today it's clear and it should get up to about 18 degrees, minimum 15 degrees. The data sheet tells me that I can paint in, and a humidity down at under 60% or under. And at the moment it's about, I think, 70 something. So it's going to get warmer during the day. It's still fairly early in the day. That's what I'm working on. Got a space heater in here, try and warm the place up before, etc, etc. Other thing I've got to do is, right now, I think jack the car up, because I've realised in touching up some bits with the high build primer that I can't get the gun in. If I want to get the gun in underneath, I have to lay it pretty much flat, which is no good at all. So I'm going to have to jack the car up, get a little bit higher so I can work on those areas. Then it's just a question of masking up dusting down, get as much dust out of the place as I can, and then just panel wipe, tack cloth, and off I go. So let's get to it. Okay, everything's tacked off, the parts are hanging up, I'm ready to go, we're all masked up. Temperature's just gone over 16 degrees outside. I've got the space heater, maybe you can hear it just at the moment, going to get the temperature up as much as I can to get some warmth into the panel and obviously into the paint. So it's flipping boiling in here, probably about 24 degrees at the moment. The plan is as soon as just before I start painting, I'll switch the heater off, I'll open the garage door so I've got really good ventilation, because this stuff is not great to breathe in. I've got the new mask as well, which will be good. So it's the same product I'm putting on as I did on the main body part, so that's HB Body Pro, 4 coats of that. So it's now just a question of mixing the paint up and getting it on. After spraying, and I'm going to take the day off today. I think I've earned it. It's come out pretty good, quite very pleased how the paint laid on. Yeah, so there you go, not looking too bad at all. Just which something that might help people is that I've used 4 litres of this stuff to get 4 coats all over the car now. So that's 4 litres plus, it's a 2-to-1 mixture, so we got 6 litres effectively I've sprayed on. So that's just maybe helps people, give a guide on how much high build primer you need. So that's done. I'm going to leave it a few days, let this settle down, harden off, and then I'm into cutting and the next phase, which will be working up and then putting the final colour coat on, which is another process in itself. I've got some ideas about keeping the bugs out of the room and keeping the workshop itself nice and clean and dust free for that really difficult last stage. So I think I'm going to cut the video now and pick that up on the next one. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you have liked and you're not subscribed, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers, bye bye.